by saying, go to the woods, look around, don't find a body, follow the pavers, and there's no body. That person who sent them to the woods would be part of this alibi and part of obstruction of justice. So the person who gave this man this tip is very critical. And so that's what I'm trying to focus on.
Okay.
Because it's either a psychic who saw in her own mind these pavers in these woods, or it's a third party who is involved in the cover-up, the development of an alibi, and the obstruction of justice.
Okay. If you can just make your question clear in terms of, and make it a question that he can answer, he'll answer it.
Yeah, the question would be, with all that said, do you have any information in the regard of everything that I just said to you, that the third person that called Mr. Casey was not a psychic, but in fact could have been a person developing an alibi, developing a cover-up, and being a participant in the obstruction of justice?
Do you understand the question?
I understand the question. I guess, again, thinking of hypothetical things, yeah, it possibly could have been. I really don't know. I mean, I can't answer for Dominic. I can't answer for Jim Hoover or who Dominic might have been talking to on the phone. I have no idea who he was speaking to. I don't have that knowledge. And like I said, I never talked to Dominic about what that date that he was in the particular woods or how many times he was there. I don't have any of that information. That I don't have.
Have you at every time overheard Jose Baez tell Dominic Casey, in the event that you ever do find your granddaughter, do not call 911?
I never heard any of that, never.
Do you have any explanation why Mr. Casey would not have called the police the morning that he was going out to the exact spot where your granddaughter was ultimately found?
I have no answer for that. I mean, I can't answer for Dominic.
And I appreciate that. And do you have any explanation why when Mr. Casey went out a second time to the exact place and followed those pavers, that exact path a second time, he did not call the police?
Like I said, I cannot answer for Dominic. I cannot.
And do you have any explanation why he never shared with you the video that Mr. Hoover had taken of him and going into these woods?
No, I have no answer for that either. Honestly, I don't.
Do you believe now that Dominic Casey is involved in the cover-up, the creating of an alibi, and the obstruction of justice into this case involving your granddaughter?
No, Dominic's not covering anything up. Dominic had no reason to, except to do the right thing. Dominic's always done the right thing with us, as far as I'm concerned.
And then so we circle back to maybe ask you the question I've asked again. And so then it was either a psychic who led him there that day or a third party that we don't know about.
That's a possibility, yes. I guess Sheriff's Department, FBI, whatever, have to go through phone records and see exactly who he's speaking to. I have no idea who he was speaking to. I have no idea.
And if it was not the psychic, the tip then came from a person who knew that the body was in those woods.
Mr. Morgan, he answered the question.
That's 2 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, to answer your question, yeah, it would have to be something that the Sheriff's Department would have to investigate further or something like that. I can't answer for what Dominic was doing or who he was speaking to and who was on the phone. I have no idea, sir. I have no idea. I found out about it basically like everyone else did on the news.
And we'll go ahead and change tape, and then we'll let you, Keith, come.
I'm almost done. I
think we're inside a minute on the tape.
Time is 12:37 p.m. We're back on the record.
Okay, just briefly, I had asked you before, and there was something from your statement, and I left out something I wanted to add to the question from the second page. It was from page 44 of the sworn statement you gave with Detective Edwards, and it was where we talked about, the question was referring to your wife. She was almost more of a mother figure than Casey, and you said yes, and they talked about at birth, your wife taking Kaylee, and then the question was it harboring, did she harbor ill feelings? And you said, yeah, there's been some toughness right there, yeah. Yeah, she's thrown that in my wife's face a few times, to be honest, she has. And she says, and this is in quotes, seems like Kaylee goes to you guys more than she does to me, end quote. And then you said, well, it's not that we're trying to her. Well, it's not that we're trying to take her away from her. Was that an issue that y'all had some tough times over and harbored some ill will, that Kaylee seemed to go to you guys more than her, and your wife was like a mother figure?
I don't think there's any, actually say ill will. I mean, my gosh, we were with that little girl every day when she woke up and when she went to bed at night. I mean, it's, my gosh, I was the guy she saw every day, you know, in her life. I mean, my gosh, my wife was there, and my wife's a good mother. She's a fantastic grandmother. Geez, okay.
That appears that way, and that's what these were. The question was, the question from the officer was harboring ill feelings, and you said, yeah, there's been some toughness right there. Yeah, she's thrown that in my wife's face a few times, to be honest, and said, seems like Kaylee goes to you guys more than she does. And when I hear you saying throws it in my wife's face, some toughness, and the question under those circumstances, was that an issue where there was some conflict over that subject?
No, I think just in the maybe something might have happened in the daily aspect of all living together, and maybe something happened just to trigger something for some words being possibly said. But
okay, but those were your, I'm reading that, those were your words, that those, yeah, that there were some tough times, and yes, she threw that in my wife's face and says, seems like Kaylee goes to you guys more than she does me, and you responded, we're not, trying to take her away.
Yeah, I mean, I think just because we were around her so much, I mean, my gosh, to say we're loving grandparents, that
sounds
an understatement
pretty clear.
sometimes. I mean, my gosh, that's, to watch that little girl grow up as I watching my daughter grow up again.
And this is
good stuff.
This is, and I'm just about done. This is a bit of a tough question, but I need to ask: has there ever been any incidents where there's been any, for example, where your daughter was choking Kaylee or anything? I'm sorry, I misspoke. Where your daughter and your wife got into it, where there was any physicality?
No, that's something that someone has said that on their own. No, nothing
There's
ever
no
happened.
proof to that.
No, I mean, granted, on any household, especially our household or anyone, husbands and wives, daughters, fathers, brothers, sons, fathers, you have some altercations every once in a while. I mean, verbally. I mean, it's part of life.
But
as far as physical confrontation, no, sir. No, there's no
between
physical.
your wife and your daughter?
No, never.
Okay.
Anything other than the case, we'll go back to the judge for some of the privilege.
Other than the stuff that it was privileged, we'll suspend the deposition. We're done with those questions, and I appreciate that everything calmed down and we got through this latter part. And I sincerely, whether you believe it or not, hate to have brought you in here. I feel we can agree to disagree, but I feel I have a job to do. You probably view my job different than I do it, but I mean to cause you no more pain than you already have to live with every day. That was not my intent, and I'm sorry.
Like I said, I want to go over and wish the best for Zenaida here. I really do. And I don't want to see her have to go through any more of the stuff that she's going through. That's not fair to her. It's not fair to all the people who have gotten involved in this thing. It's not fair. It's not right.
Do you want to explain to him about, I guess he doesn't need to read and waive yet since it's suspended?
Well, it's not completed.
Well, we're suspended.
But regardless, when he'll read it.
If transcribed, we'll read.
Okay.
We go off the video record.
Time is 12:42 p.m. We're off
Do you
record.
want to just go ahead and bring Cindy right?